And then what was the second one?
Bear. I know bear. I always confuse these words. Bear,
Bear as in like el oso
el oso, and the other is
y el pájaro, ¿no?
yes.
So yeah, bear and bird actually they actually look a little different.
Bear, I know the other is beer and
Oh, like like la
la
barba,
cerveza. La
la
cerveza y la
barba.
barba.
Oh, la cerveza is beer. Beer.
Beer.
Yeah,
I
beer.
always
So
confuse these words.
yeah. So bear and beer are a little bit different, right? But it's good. It's good though. They do sound similar. When people speak quickly, they sound similar. You know, give me that beer. Or look at that bear. Give me that beer. Right? They do have the possibility of sounding similar. Hey, Juan, how's it going?
Hello, hello. How are you?
Hi, Juan.
Good to
Hi,
see you,
Diana.
man.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
And hey, Irene, welcome back.
Thank you.
So, actually, guys, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to spend maybe another minute or 2 minutes just on introducing ourselves, and then I want to jump right into the lesson because it is kind of a complicated lesson. There are a lot of vocabulary words that we are learning for this example. It's actually my first time teaching this lesson also.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to be reviewing the information kind of as we're going along, and as always, feel free to ask questions and point out any mistakes that I make because it's very possible that I'll make a mistake. So, um,
We are humans.
yeah, absolutely, we'll learn together, vamos. Yeah. Uh, hey, Murad, how's it going?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
Nice. Doing good, thanks. So, Murad and Juan, we have a new student, Irene, in our class. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, and we can hear from her as well. Oh,
Yeah.
Irene has a bad connection, but okay. Let's see if we can still hear each other.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So can I introduce myself?
Sure,
Uh,
absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm Marine. I'm from Moscow, from Russia. It's too cold here, and I'm a student. What else? Maybe you have some questions.
Uh-huh. Murad, do you want to go first?
Well, nice to meet you. My name is Morad. I'm from Mexico. I'm 26 years old.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Juan, you want to speak about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hello, I am Juan from Mexico too, and I am 42 years old, and I work as a carpenter.
Fantastic, guys. Thanks for the introductions. Um, do you guys mind if I just jump in? It's gonna be a longer class, so let's jump in, okay? Uh, Today we are going to be talking, guys, about all the different types of words that we see that are maybe spelled differently but sound the same, or have different meanings but are spelled the same. It's a complicated set of vocabulary, really. It's not really a grammar lesson. It's more of a vocabulary lesson, right? We are talking about the different classifications of words in English, right? So the first classification that we're going to look at um, is when we see the word homonym. If something is a homonym, it's a word that are two words that are homonyms to each other, are pronounced the same way, but they have different meanings. They can either be spelled the same or they may not be spelled the same, right? But the pronunciation is the same and they have different meanings, right? So I'm going to write this down. First thing, homonym are spelled the same. I'm sorry, spelled differently. Oh wait, hold on one second. I'm already confused. They are pronounced the same way but have different meanings, right? Pronounced identically but have different meanings, right? So they give you some example. They give you some examples in the lesson as well. So one that I like to think of is, for example, we have the word for like, I don't know, meat is a good one. I think it's already given in the example, but when we have meat, right, we have the verb to meet somebody, and we also have the thing that you eat, right? Meat. So they're pronounced exactly the same way, but they have different meanings, right? Another one would be, for example, if we are talking about, let's see, another example of a homonym that uses, I'm trying to think of one that has different meaning. Whenever I think of these situations, it makes it difficult to think of one right off the bat, right? Right off of immediately thinking about it. We can think about it, maybe they're the example of,
Bear and beer. No.
so yeah, they have to sound pretty similar though, right? Actually, let's think about it I have another one, right? Said and sad, okay, read versus red, or red versus red. That's a good one, Murad, right? So if we have I read something versus the color red, perfect, right? Pronounced identically have different meanings. Said and then sad. Said and sad. That one is a little bit different, right? Juan, or I'm sorry, Irene. Said and sad. There is a little bit of a difference, right? What about this? Aisle versus aisle. What's the first one? If we say aisle versus aisle.
It's a hole, like a hole.
An aisle is, for example, what we see on if we are going down the aisle, like on a plane, that aisle in the middle, right? So it's like that hallway. And then the aisle, the second one, is another way of saying island, right? So they are different right there, right? And Juan, you were saying air and right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is pretty good. So the air that we breathe versus like when we say like we know like we made a mistake, right? Murad, bin versus bin. Yeah, and I like how you wrote bin and then American in the parentheses, right? What was the reason for that?
I think because in British it doesn't seem the same. It doesn't sound the same.
Yeah,
Bin. I
think you're right. In American English we say bin. I was there.
Yeah.
I've been there, right? So allowed and allowed. Yeah. Wow, Juan, you're on a roll, man. You got all these going. Allowed versus allowed, right? Great. So the music was, please, they were speaking, no, actually, wow, allowed. Like, for example, parking is not allowed here versus they were speaking aloud, right? They were speaking out loud. They were not speaking softly, right? So those are some examples of homonyms, right? Homonyms are those types of examples. Now, when we look at a specific type of homonyms, right? So remember how we had homonyms are any words that are pronounced the same but have different meanings. A homophone is they are homonyms that are spelled differently. Okay? So some of these homonyms, like for example, we have an example in which we are saying, I don't really know if it's saying it's a type of homonym, but it's pronounced the same way, which we already have for regular homonyms. It's spelled differently. So okay, it's a specific type of homonym, right? There are some homonyms that can be spelled the same way. Those are not homophones. Homophones are homonyms that are spelled differently. Okay? So in terms of really thinking about what the difference is, I don't know if I can think of, all these examples that you guys gave us are also homophones, right? Homophone is simply a homonym that is homonyms that are spelled differently, right? So all these other ones that you gave us are spelled differently. Homonyms that are spelled differently. So we have, for example, every homophone is a homonym, right? But not every homonym is a homophone.
Oh,
Have I confused you guys enough? So every homophone is a homonym, right? But not every homonym is a homophone because a homonym, some homonyms are spelled the same. If they are spelled the same, then they can't be a homophone because homophones are spelled differently. But I'm trying to think, what is a homophone, or what is a homonym that is not a homophone?
What?
I mean, what are two words? And let me speak normal English. What are two words that have the same pronunciation, different meanings, but are spelled the same?
Can and can.
Can and can. Wow, Murad, you're a genius, man. Can and can. What's the first one? Or I guess what are the differences between the two?
It's modal.
Yeah, one's a modal, right? A modal verb. And what's the second one?
The second one is a type of container.
Fantastic, right? A Pepsi can versus I can go to school. Right?
And it's also a Canadian slang which means toilet.
Really? The Canadians say
Yeah.
toilet? Oh, wow. That is so weird. Okay, I did not know that. That's awesome. So, okay, let's backtrack, guys. Every homophone is a homonym. Homophones are different spelling, same meaning, or different spelling, different meaning, and same pronunciation, right? Different meaning, different spelling, same pronunciation. Okay, Juan, we'll see in a little bit. So now let's look at this. I need to categorize this, right? Wow. Okay, so we have homophones that are homonyms that are spelled differently. Okay? So what is the homonym that is spelled the same? That's the second type of example, right? Homonym is the group at the top. Homonyms are the biggest thing, right? Same pronunciation, different spelling, different meaning. If they are spelled the same, then it's a homophone, right? And if it's not spelled the same, then we just call it a homonym, I guess. We're not gonna split hairs on this one. It's gonna get much more confusing if we do that, right? So, any questions on this, guys?
No.
Right? So homophones are the biggest, or homonyms are the head category. Homonyms are any two words that are pronounced the same, different meanings, pronounced the same and have different meanings. That's it. That's what a homonym is. Pronounced the same but different meanings. Homophones are a category of homonyms that are also spelled the same.
With different meaning.
But different meanings, exactly. Because remember, all the homophones are homonyms also. And every homonym has a different meaning. Or homonyms have different meanings, right? So homophones are a category of homonyms. That's it. Homonym, homophone. Okay? Let's go with that. Now we're going to look at homographs. Okay? And these are words that are spelled the same and have different meanings. Spelled the same and have different meanings. Pronunciation doesn't matter. Okay? Pronunciation doesn't matter, but homographs are spelled the same, but have different meanings. Exactly, right? Fantastic. Juan read my mind, right? Spelled the same, but have different meanings. So what are some examples? This is a little bit easier. What are some examples of homographs that you guys can think of? For example, words that are like homographs, something that is spelled the same but has different meanings. Okay, so we have, there's actually a bunch of these examples in English, right? So for example, C and C, right? C and C. Oh wait, never mind, spell the same, never mind. I'm already getting confused by this. I need to think about this one. So, yeah, go ahead, guys. One of you guys can suggest.
Oh, you said it's hard to think about.
Yeah, this is actually kind of tough. So, this is wrong. What I wrote is wrong, right? Think of it like
and fall.
Fall and fall. Fantastic. Yeah. Fall and fall. What's the first type?
It's a season. While
It's a
the second
season.
one is a verb.
The second one is a verb, right? Fantastic. First one is a season. The second one is a verb. What about fan? Fan and fan. What are these? What are these two types?
Fan is a noun and the other is
Ceiling fan, for example.
Yeah, ceiling fan is one example, right? And then
Yeah.
what's the second type?
It's a person who is amateur, for example, or fanatic.
fanatic.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Absolutely. So I'm making notes, guys, because if I look at this lesson anymore, I think my head will explode. So I'm just making some notes. Yeah, I want. Yeah, it's this is a little bit crazy, right? So fan and fan. We also have, for example, another example would be. So the key here, homograph, really the key is the spelling has to be the same, right? So I think the lesson mentioned something like lie and lie, right? Lie and lie, because we are looking at what's the first type of lie that we can say? Lie is like maybe if you're not telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Lie in bed, for example.
And lie in the bed, right? Exactly. So a lot of these guys are actually verbs, right? So what about this one? Advocate and advocate. You guys heard this one before?
Verb noun.
Verb and noun, right? So somebody who advocates for you is your advocate, right? Don't you love English?
What? Like a lawyer?
Like a lawyer, exactly, right? Like a lawyer. So, and then there are other ones. For example, what about this one? I think this one's a little easy, right? Bat and bat,
Yeah.
right?
I know one, but the other no.
I'm sorry, say that again, Juan?
I know one, but the other not. But
Uh-huh. Baseball bat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Baseball bat as well as the thing that flies. There's there's an animal that flies. It's called a bat, right? Did you know about that one, Juan?
Yeah, yeah. The vampires.
Vampire bat, exactly, or the fruit bat, right? Lead and lead, right? What's the difference between that one, Liliana?
Lead is a guide and the other is the middle.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's lead and lead, both for both of them. I said lead and lead, never mind. Lead and lead, so one is a guide and the other is a medal, right? Fantastic. So for example, I'm going to lead my group, or this is made from lead, right? Yeah, fantastic. So I think that's enough, guys, before we get confused. So homographs are same spelling, right? Different meaning, yeah, and pronunciation doesn't matter. So same spelling, different meaning. Now let's take a look at the last type, or actually, I'm gonna let's see if I can go through these other ones too. Heteronyms. Oh, heteronyms.
What?
I know, right? Okay, so now we're looking at heteronyms. We were looking at homonyms before. Now we're looking at heteronyms. So heteronyms are a type of homograph. Okay, so before we had two things, right? We had homonyms. Homonyms are words that have same pronunciation, spelled differently. So spelling doesn't matter. Homonyms, let's just say this, guys. I'm writing some notes. Homonyms, spelling does not matter, right? Homonyms, spelling does not matter. Homophone is when you have something that is spelled differently. That is a type of homonym. So homonym by itself, spelling does not matter. Pronunciation needs to be the same, and meaning needs to be different. Okay? Homophones are spelled differently. So a homophone is a type of homonym. Okay? I think let's just forget about that part. Now we're looking at homographs, and heteronyms are a type of homograph. Okay? So not every homonym or not every heteronym is a never mind, guys. Hold on. This is bad. This is bad. Oh my God. Okay.
You don't seem look very how to say? You don't look very convincing.
I'm just reviewing my notes all the time now because I don't want to say something that's wrong.
Even
Right?
in any language, it's confused.
Yeah, this is crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So every heteronym is a homograph, but not every homograph is a heteronym.
Hmm.
Okay, so there are two things we can take away, right? Two big things I want to take away from this lesson. Every heteronym is a homograph, but not every homograph is a heteronym, right? That's one example. The second example is every homophone is a homonym, but not every homonym is a homophone, right? So if you guys were just like, this is what I'm doing, guys. Honestly, this is what I'm doing right now, right? You guys see this? Like, it says, so homophones are a type of homonym, right? It's just spelled differently, right? And for the or whatever, what am I saying here? Okay, so homonyms are spelled differently, or spelling does not matter, or DNM, and then homophones are this type of homonym, right? And the spelling is different for the homophones, exactly. And then for homographs, right? We have the subtype of heteronym, right? So this is what I'm saying here. Every heteronym is a homograph, but not all homographs are heteronyms because we still have this other category, right? We still have this other category here, or the other category there. So this is literally how I'm keeping track of this, and maybe it's actually going to be, I'm going to suggest that we make it into maybe a more visual format, right? If there's maybe a table or some kind of a breakdown like that, it's going to be much easier than providing, or doing it in words, I think will make it very difficult, right? So let's look at heteronyms are types of homographs, right? And heteronyms, so we have the same spelling because they are all homographs. We have the same spelling. They have different meanings, but these guys, heteronyms are pronounced differently. Okay, so before we saw homographs were pronounced, we didn't care about the pronunciation, right? So for example, lead and lead, right? When we saw from Liliana, lead and lead, the pronunciation is the same, right? Heteronyms, the pronunciation cannot be the same, right? So the pronunciation has to be different, even though the spelling is the same and the meaning is the same, right? So, I'm sorry, the meaning is different, right? So take a look at this guy here. I'm going to pull this up. So we have heteronyms are, the pronunciation has to be different, right? So any homograph where the pronunciation is different, the homographs are same spelling, but second thing I wrote, different meaning, right? So same spelling, different meaning, and different pronunciation. Same spelling, different meaning, and different pronunciation. All three of those categories make it a heteronym, right? Yeah, thanks. I got a great blackboard here. It's called it's a sticky note, right? That's what I was writing here, guys. So let's look at this, guys, then. So heteronym, let me just break this down. Maybe we can do it this way. Heteronym, same spelling, different meaning, different pronunciation. Okay? What are words that work that way?
Oh my god.
Close versus close. Murad, you're on a roll, man. You're on fire for this lesson, man.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So what are the differences between these two, Murad?
Close is a verb, and close is an adjective.
Yeah, right? He is close to me. Or let's close the door. Fantastic, fantastic. So these are heteronyms, right? Heteronyms have this example, right? And then what about another example if we can think of? Juan, can you think of one? Same spelling, different meaning, different pronunciation. Right? So another one could be okay. I think I have one that might be really good, actually. Oh, no, it's not going to work. It's different spelling. I'm trying to think of, let's see, did they give us a quick example here? Okay, so one of the ones that they said was tier, right? Tier is an example that we can use because it's also, it could be something that you, like, it's something that comes down your eye when you have a tear, like your eyes have tears, or it's something that you, when you break something, right? It's a tear, like you tear something, right? I thought you were in this class, yeah. You know, it's something, right? Invalid versus invalid. Fantastic. Murad, you're on a roll, man.
Oh,
Describe
invalid versus invalid. Invalid, it's an adjective, which means
uh-huh.
not correct, like an invalid password.
An invalid password, right?
Yes.
That's incorrect.
While
And then
invalid is a noun which indicates a handicapped person or disabled person.
invalid. I have never
Yeah.
heard that word pronounced invalid. I swear, Murad, that might be something that we just don't say in the U.S. or it might be maybe like a British pronunciation. Honestly, I don't know. But it works. It works, man. If you say it works, it works. I'm
Maybe
gonna
if
trust
you
you.
have
Uh-huh.
a transcription dictionary, you will find out.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. I think definitely because like we heard with can and can and can, right? Like in Canada they say different things. It could be absolutely correct. Okay, guys. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to make some sense of this entire lesson. Okay? So I am going to write down all 4 categories and what they mean. All right? So homonyms. Let's go back to the very beginning. Homonyms. They have same pronunciation, okay? Same pronunciation, and they have different meaning, okay? Same pronunciation and different meaning. So any 2 words that have the same pronunciation and a different meaning is a homonym, right? So let's go back. I'm going to write down 4 big categories, right? Homonym. Homonym is a big category, right? Same pronunciation, but different meaning. Exactly. So we're gonna. It's like I feel like I'm a teacher in one of those schools for little kids. Everybody, repeat after me. Homonym. You know, same pronunciation but different meaning, right? So we have, and then so this is a broad category. Broad category, right? It includes homophones, and it also includes other words that are not homophones, right? So what is a homophone? A homophone is a type of homonym. Type of homonym. So it has the same pronunciation, different meaning, and different spelling. Okay? And different spelling. So this is where it's different from other homonyms, right? Homonyms, some of them have the same spelling, right? Some homonyms have the same spelling. Homophones have different spellings. They are the subcategory of homonyms. So there are one under homonyms, right? So homophones are one under homonyms, right? So homophones are a type of homonym, right?
Yes,
So
I
these are
think with examples, I think it's
yeah.
a little bit more clear.
Sure, let's do that, guys. Let's do that. So what is a homonym? Let's go back. Now we're just looking at these 4 categories, right? Now we're looking at just these 2. Homonym, same pronunciation, different meaning. Go, fire, go. Same pronunciation, different meaning.
Ice cream. Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah, an ice cream.
And ice cream. Same pronunciation, different meaning.
Yeah.
So ice cream versus ice cream.
What is the other meaning of ice cream?
Do you mean these 2? It's a phrase, right, Murad, then? Ice cream versus ice cream? Yeah, fantastic. Like ice cream. Ah! And ice cream, right? Something you eat, right? So those are one. Same pronunciation, different meaning, right? What about, so we can see C and C, right? Tons of these examples. C and C. I and I, right? Same pronunciation, different meaning, right? These are all homonyms. Now, a homophone, same pronunciation, different meaning, and different spelling. So, for example, C and C, just like we wrote here, right? Those are also homophones, right? Because you have same pronunciation, C and C, different meaning, and different spelling, right? So, what is a type of homonym that is not a homophone?
What?
So what are 2 words that have same pronunciation, different meaning, and the same spelling?
Same pronunciation,
Different meaning, same spelling.
Oh my god. There are the heteronyms.
No, these are still homonyms,
Oh my God.
right? So we are only focusing on homonyms and homophones right now.
Okay.
Juan, right? So when I said so, homonyms are same pronunciation, different meaning. So it can be ice cream versus ice cream, C and C, right?
Mhm.
Same pronunciation, different meaning, right?
Mhm.
Homophones also have different spelling, right? So homophones would be like SEA and SEE, right? C and C. So I want to figure out what this type of homonym is that we didn't write anything for. This one right here. It has same pronunciation, same spelling, but different meaning. So pronouncing the same, spelling the same, right? So for example, I think the one that Murad said earlier would actually work really well, right?
No, they have different spelling. Homophone.
Different.
I think it's
Yeah.
Can,
Homophone we
said.
know. What about this category is what I'm saying.
Same
This category.
pronunciation, same spelling. Can.
Can and can, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, Murad, just to backtrack, we're talking about homonyms that are not homophones, right?
Yeah.
I want to identify a homonym that's not a homophone. So do can and can work? Let's see. Same pronunciation,
Same
different
spelling.
meaning, and same spelling. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, that one works, right? Can and can work. So I'm going to write that down so that I can always, if I'm confused, then we can use that as an example, right? Can and can.
Mhm.
So these are homonyms that are not homophones.
Might and might.
Might and might, yeah, absolutely right. Might and might. So one is the verb, like one is the modal verb, exactly, right? And the other one is might, like strength. I have a lot of might,
Power.
mighty, or whatever, power, exactly, right? Might and might. So now these are the first two categories, right? All I wanted to look at: homonyms and homophones.
And lead,
Okay.
and lead. Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the last one?
No.
Yeah. Come on, Liliana, why are you getting confused?
Fun.
This is an easy lesson, Liliana. Don't get confused.
Yes, very easy.
I'm just joking. I'm just
No
joking.
doubt.
What was the last one? I'm sorry. Fun and fun.
Fun. Yes.
What are the?
Same pronunciation, same spelling, but different meaning.
What are the different meanings for fun and fun?
Fun now is a fanatic, and the other is the.
Oh, yeah. Fan. Okay, that's
fan,
yeah.
sorry,
The different pronunciation. No, that's fine. I thought you meant fun as in like something that's fun to do. I was thinking, did I forget?
Yeah.
Fan and fan, right?
Fan.
Okay, so let's just think of it this way: can and fan. We're done. Okay. That's good. Just these two words. I'm just messing. Can and fan, right? Yeah, this class is fun. Very fun, exactly. Taking us 40 minutes to
Match
learn
and match.
to learn 4 things. 4 things, 40 minutes, right? Okay.
Oh my God.
Next time it'll be easier, guys. This is also my first time doing this, so you guys are helping me out. Okay, now let's look at it this way. Homographs. Okay? What are homographs? So homographs is a third category, and it's a big category, just like homonyms. Homonyms and homographs are big categories. Remember this guy? So homonyms are way up here, right? And then homographs are down here, right? They're the big categories. The other two are subtypes, right? They are subsidiary to those big groups. So what is a homograph? A homograph is two words that have the same spelling but different meaning. Same spelling but different meaning, right? So what are some examples of homographs then?
Lead and lead.
Yeah, lead and lead, right? So for example, lead and lead I guess, right, would work, right? Because it's the same spelling but different meaning. So they're actually pronounced the same, right? Liliana, so if we say, for example, I am leading my class, or I lead this class, it's also the same pronunciation as that medal. No, actually it's not. Never mind. I'm sorry, Liliana, I'm confusing you.
Okay, no. Two words that have the same spelling. Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah. Homographs, same spelling, different meaning, right? So lead and lead are fantastic, right? Lead is the medal, and lead is to lead a class, the verb, to lead a class, right? So those two are homographs of each other. Same spelling, but different meaning, okay? Now, a heteronym. This is the last one, I promise, guys. Heteronym. This is the fourth and last category. Heteronym is same spelling, different meaning, also different pronunciation. Right? So now, lead and lead also work as a heteronym. Right? Because they're same spelling, different meaning, and different pronunciation. So lead and lead, right? Fantastic. So that's one. So we have examples for all of these categories, except for this last one that I'm going to ask you guys. So what is a homograph? Give me an example of a homograph that is not a heteronym, which is to say, same spelling, different meaning, but same pronunciation. Same spelling, different meaning, so same spelling, same pronunciation, but different meaning.
Match and match.
Match and match. Same
Matches
spelling.
and matches.
Exactly, right? Same spelling, different meaning, same pronunciation. Match and match, or matches and matches, right? Same spelling, that's right. Different meaning, that's right. But is it the same pronunciation though?
Yes.
Because we have match and match. Yeah, that's right.
But you said a different pronunciation?
Well, that would make it a heteronym, right? We're saying we want to look for a homograph that's not a heteronym. So that would mean same spelling, same spelling and pronunciation, but different meaning. So same spelling and pronunciation.
Same spelling, same pronunciation, different meaning. Okay.
Exactly, right? So when I think about it this way, though, guys, didn't homonyms also have the same pronunciation, different meaning, and some of them are also same spelling, right? Like when we look at fan and fan, right? Like what we saw before, fan and fan. These are same pronunciation, different meaning, and same spelling. That's also a homograph. So are we saying, let me look at this before I just like destroy myself. Some homographs also homonyms? I think they are. Okay, guys, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn this, right? And the next time we talk and have this lesson, I want to have a more, like a complete, maybe like a table with some examples of some of this stuff, right? They give one in the lesson, I think you guys have, but I don't like the look of it. It's a little bit more confusing than I think it helps. So, are we guys okay with this?
Yeah, it was instance.
There are so many examples. It's not testing grammar, really. It's just testing categories of words, right? So same spelling, different pronunciation, same pronunciation, right? That's what it's saying. It's differences in the categorization of these words. I'm going to take a look at this, guys. And hopefully by the next time we have maybe an easier time understanding it, right? Murad, though, gold star for you, man. You got all the crazy examples, right?
Yeah.
Murad will be your assistant.
Yeah, Murad's a genius. Murad's a genius for that, right? So yeah, buy, and buy. I think that's another great example, guys. That's a triple, right?
What category this?
So they have different meanings, different spellings, and same pronunciation, right? Yeah, so different meaning, different spelling, and same pronunciation. So these are homophones.
Homophone? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because homophones are spelled differently, different meaning, but same pronunciation. Right? Aka, or Ken, what do you think about pun and pan? Is it are those pronounced the same?
No, pan and pain.
Pan and pain?
Pain? Maybe not. It's not exactly the same pronunciation.
No,
Sounds
there's a
similar,
little.
but
They don't have the same pronunciation. No, right? It's a little bit different.
yeah.
right? A little bit different. So actually, guys, let me tell you what I'll do. So my little blackboard, right? It's great. I'm gonna modify it. I'm gonna make it into an actual document or something like that, right? And I'll refer to that when I teach this lesson. And also, the second thing is, I think the biggest thing to take away from this lesson is exactly what Juan just asked, right? So if somebody gives you an example and you should identify what type of it is, what type of either homonym or homograph it is, I think that's the real value in this lesson, right? Because you're looking at it from the case of you want to be able to identify what these are, and you want to know what the characteristics of some of these words are, right? So maybe as a way for, if you guys want to just type it down or copy paste, just copy paste the four things I wrote. Like, so homonym is same pronunciation, different meaning. Homophone, same pronunciation, different meaning, and different spelling, right? So that was the by that we saw, right? Same pronunciation, different meaning, different spelling. And then the third category was homograph, which is same spelling, different meaning, and heteronym, which is same spelling, different meaning, different pronunciation. So if you guys just take down those 4 types, right, that condenses the confusion. It makes it more categorized, right? If you can think of those 4, then I think it's going to be a little bit easier. Next time you guys look at this, maybe with another teacher, right, you can at least refer to those 4 big examples and say, okay, this is what I know. What is a homonym? Blah, blah, blah. What is a heteronym? Blah, 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 right? That makes it a little bit easier. So I would take those guys down as maybe homework, or just, not homework, but just something as something as a reference, right? Because I think we were trying to boil down to those 4 things in 45 minutes. So it took time to do that. But so beer and bear, Liliana, right? There still is a difference in pronunciation and a difference in spelling, right? So different pronunciation. So this one actually I don't think falls in any category, right?
No?
Because if we have the spelling is different, the pronunciation is also different, right? Homonyms all have the same pronunciation, and so it can't be a homonym, right? Homographs all have the same spelling, and this one also doesn't have the same spelling.
And
So-
this one, sorry, but I always confuse that. Remember that I told you at the beginning of the class?
Yeah.
Beer, this. Okay.
Beer and bear.
It's different. Because I always confuse beer, bear, bird, beer.
Yeah, so these 2 I think are just separate words, honestly. I don't think they fall into any of these categories, right? Did I say earlier on that they did? Maybe, because I didn't know this lesson. I could have made that mistake, right? Because with beer and bear, right? So homonyms all have the same pronunciation. So beer and bear, there is a little bit of a difference in pronunciation, right? Bear versus beer.
Bear.
Bear.
How do
like
you pronounce this word? Sorry. Can
bear.
you pronounce bear?
Bear. Yeah.
Bear
Bear.
and beer and
And-
bear. Bear.
Yeah. So yeah, let's do bear first. Bear. Right? And then the other one is beer. And the second one is bird and bear. Right? So with the D, when it has the D, it's bird.
Bird.
Right? Bird, and then bear is like el oso, and bird is el pájaro. Yeah. So bear and beer and bird and bear, right?
What?
Yeah. So actually, Juan, which one is confusing you? Which one is confusing you?
All of them.
All of them. Okay. So la cerveza, right? Beer.
Beer.
That's beer.
Beer.
Beer, right? El oso is bear.
Bear.
Bear. Just bear, right? And el pájaro is bird.
Bird.
Yeah,
Okay.
confused.
Bird, right? So that's a little bit different. That one is easy to tell because it's like that, right? Murad is saying night versus night, right? So these are examples of same pronunciation, different meaning, and spelled differently. So these are homophones, right? So if you write those 4 things down, that's all I'm looking at, guys. This is my cheat sheet, right? This is my cheat sheet. That's all I'm looking at. So somebody gives me an example, night versus night, and I say, okay, same pronunciation, different meaning and different spelling. It's got to be a homophone, right? So that makes it easier, guys. Literally having down these four, I'm doing the exact same thing. Just writing down those four categories. What is a homonym? Blah, blah, blah. What is a homophone? Blah, blah, blah. What is a homograph? Blah, blah, blah. What is a heteronym? Blah, blah, blah. Right? You guys can just copy what I wrote and just put it somewhere on your desktop or something. You know, when you're maybe if you want to go to sleep at night and you know you can't go to sleep, just read this. You'll fall asleep, right?
But when you talk, even in our own language, we don't remember it as a homonym. It's good to know, yes.
Yeah.
But when you talk, I think you maybe forget.
Absolutely. I certainly forget. I forget all the time, right?
Uh-huh.
I think Spanish, you guys have maybe homónimo or something like homóforas. Yeah, I think you guys have the same thing.
But to be honest, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's confusing.
I know that we have, but when you don't remember, it's another homophone. But
exactly.
Anyway, it's good to know.
Exactly. No, I agree with you guys. I agree with you guys 100%. Absolutely. So, and then there is another one, not to confuse you guys even more, okay, but because we're talking about bear, right? We do have one that's bear versus bear.
This is the one that I like to know.
This one is the same pronunciation, right? Same pronunciation, different meaning, but also spelled differently, right? So this is a homophone. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Liliana.
What is the pronunciation? Bear? Bear?
Bear. Same thing. Like we saw el oso, bear, and bear. Yeah, bear and bear. So what is the meaning of B-A-R-E, the second one, bear?
It's to
injure.
Not stranger, Ken. What do you mean by stranger?
To injure, to tolerate.
Oh,
tolerate, yes.
To tolerate. No.
No. Oh.
To tolerate is actually this bear again.
Okay.
Right? So what about B-A-R-E? What is B-A-R-E? B-A-R-E is something that is empty. Like this is a bare floor.
Barefoot.
Yeah.
Or barefoot, exactly.
Yeah.
Barefoot, right? So that B-A-R-E is empty, right? This is oso, right? It's a bear like the animal. El oso is the animal. But this is also, Ken, what you were saying, this bear is also for tolerate.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to bear pain, you know? Can you bear this pain, right? So those are all types of different examples of these sentences, right? And you guys are looking at Spanish as well. Casa and casa with a zeta and casa with s, right? Fantastic. Murad, you're killing this, man. You should like teach this stuff, man. It's Spanish and English, and you got French also, so it's that's awesome. Okay, great job, guys. Okay, I think we have killed this lesson. Okay.
No.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Juan, did you have a question? Do you guys have any questions?
No. But I was getting fun.
Yeah. It's fun. There's a lot going on, right? There's a lot going on with this lesson. Let's take a quick look. We're gonna definitely go over 11. Or you guys are all my time, I think, right? 10:53, except for Ken, right? Are you guys all Central Time? You guys are all Central Time, I think. Okay, so we might go maybe 5 minutes more, but I want to take a quick look, guys, at the lesson or at the article for today. Has nothing to do with homonyms or heteronyms, okay? Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, exactly. The article is just it's fun. It's about weird laws about women, right? So weird laws when it comes to women. So some societies in the world have very peculiar, strange laws for women, right? Depending on what society, what country. We're going to look at some U.S. states also that have some peculiar rules. So let us take a look, guys. Let's start looking at this article. I'm not going to be looking at I'm not going to be reading it really because it has a different. It's kind of like settings, like it has parts. So it's not really an article. So, lady problems. The world's strangest laws applied to women, right? So the first thing we look at is driving in Saudi Arabia. Women are not allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so it's the only country in the world that they cannot drive. They do drive, for example, in compounds. Like there these American compounds in Saudi Arabia for the American people and for other foreigners that are working for the American companies. They sometimes drive inside those compounds because the Saudi military, Saudi police don't go inside, right? So they can do whatever they want inside those compounds, but outside in the normal Saudi streets, they can't. So Saudi Arabia's long-standing driving ban hit headlines recently after a conservative Saudi cleric, this guy Sheikh Saleh Al-Luhaydan, whatever, announced that this guy said, this is one of the religious people, said that driving harms women's ovaries. Whatever, I don't know where he got that information, but you know, it's a big problem in Saudi Arabia because it's the only country left, right? I guess I don't know if it's a problem. Maybe women there don't want to drive. Some women say we don't care. They all have drivers. Their husbands drive, their brothers drive, their sons drive. If there's nobody in the house that drives, then they have a driver that drives for them, right? So it's maybe not that big a problem, but that is one of the things that they have in their rules, right? So, and this guy's statement that driving harms their ovaries was refuted by a doctor, Mohammed Bakhna. This guy said that it doesn't make any sense. So this guy clearly has never read any scientific books, right? Saleh Al-Luhaydan, who knows what he is? Okay, any case, motorcycle riding in Indonesia, right? So in some countries, or in some parts of Indonesia, we have very conservative people, conservative Muslims actually, who don't like if women are on motorcycles. So this is the Lhokseumawe district of Aceh. Aceh is a state in Indonesia in the western part of the country, and Aceh is Indonesia's most conservative region, right? So the mayor said the ban was needed because it provokes male drivers when women straddle motorbikes, right? So if women are on motorbikes, it's something that maybe provokes men, and they don't want that in their society. So that's why motorcycles are not something that women are allowed to drive in this part of Indonesia, right? So that's that. Wearing pants in Paris. This was interesting. So Parisian women have been wearing trousers for well nigh a century now, but that doesn't change the fact that they were technically violating the law until January of this year, right? An archaic law on the books in Paris, archaic means ancient, right? An ancient law on the books in Paris, set all the way back in 1800, bars women from wearing men's clothing without seeking special permission, right? So there's this old law from 200 years ago that didn't allow women to wear men's clothing, right? But nobody really looked at this, cared about this law. It was changed twice in 1892 and then in 1909, and these two allowed women to wear pants if they were either holding a bicycle handlebar or the reins of a horse. So if they were riding a bicycle or riding a horse, they could wear pants. But in no other instance could they wear pants. They would need special permission, right? Interesting. So I think they just didn't, nobody cared about this, right? But in 2012, this rule was finally changed to allow women to wear whatever they want. That was interesting. And then in the U.S., right, California law prohibits a woman from driving while wearing a house coat. I don't know what a house coat is, right? And I don't think anybody will actually care if a woman does wear something like this and drives, right? So this is interesting. In Florida, unmarried women cannot parachute on Sundays.
Why?
I have no idea. It's actually more funny than I think it is makes sense, right? So if you're unmarried, you cannot parachute on a Sunday. Until 2002, this is very recently, it was illegal to curse in front of women and children in Michigan. I used to live in Michigan. I know about the state. And trust me, I know many people that curse, that use bad language in front of everybody, regardless of whether or not they're women and children. But until 2002, this was actually illegal in Michigan, right? And this law was made in 1897. And it was changed in 1999 to allow them to, or I guess it was this, somebody was swearing, a kayaker was swearing in 1999, and maybe he fought the law. In 2002, it was changed. So now if you're in Michigan, you can say whatever you want in front of anybody, right? Last but not least, or this is the last thing we'll look at here, in Little Rock, Arkansas, okay, this is the city that Bill Clinton is from, right? Bill Clinton is from Little Rock, Arkansas. In his city, it was illegal for men and women to flirt on some of the streets in Little Rock. And doing this, you could get a 30-day sentence in jail, right? If you just flirt with somebody from the opposite gender, right? So these are some of these conservative laws. And then this last one is, okay, I'll just finish it up then. Wearing a miniskirt in Swaziland. Do you guys know where Swaziland is?
No, in Africa? I think it's the small.
Yeah, it's Africa, right? It's a super small country. It's a super small country. I think it's surrounded completely by South Africa, actually. And they have a monarchy, they have a king, and they have a very interesting kind of legal system. But miniskirts were actually illegal in Swaziland until, I think, this year, 2012, yeah? Or last year. So there you go, guys. Those are some weird laws, right? Nothing to do with homonyms or heteronyms or homophones or heterographs, right? But interesting situation. And I want to just ask some of you guys some questions, Which one of these laws surprised you guys the most?
Why?
Prohibiting driving, women. Why women cannot drive?
In Saudi
Doesn't
Arabia?
make sense.
What is the reason?
That's sexist.
Not allowed to drive.
Many reasons. There's a religious ruling that there's a religious belief, or I guess a rule, that a woman should not be outside the house unaccompanied by a male guardian.
Oh.
Right. So this is something that is this is a traditional rule in Islam, right? So if a woman is outside the home, she should be accompanied by a male relative. That is to say, a son, a brother, a husband, a father, something like that, right? If you allow women to drive, then they can be in the car alone, and they would not be in the company of somebody else, right? In the company of a male relative, right? But then this actually begs the question. I was born in Saudi Arabia, right? My mother lived there when I was younger, and she didn't know how to drive until she came to the United States.
Uh-huh.
because they don't allow women to drive, right? So it was difficult for her. She was maybe like 31 years old. She didn't know how to drive, right? And here people learn how to drive when they're 16, 15, right? Girls and guys, we all learn 16, 15. So the reason, what my problem with this law, honestly, is if you do not allow women to drive, and if they do not have a male relative in the house, let's say it's an emergency. Let's say their baby needs to go to the hospital, and there's nobody that can drive them there. Isn't that a problem? I mean, yeah, sure, there are ambulances. Okay, fine, whatever, right? There are ambulances. There are maybe...
But you have to wait until the ambulance...
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It could be a life-death situation, right? I mean, if somebody's having a stroke, if somebody's having a seizure, let's say your father is having a, God forbid, is having a seizure, and he's the only one that can drive in the house. How's he going to drive, right? And Saudi Arabia is a big country, so you have places that are very far away from hospitals. It could take the ambulance a long time, or it could take getting help a long time, right? So the other thing is, so I mentioned earlier that some women in Saudi Arabia just don't care. They don't want to drive because they have hired drivers, right?
But only these people can hire a driver.
Honestly, Ken, it's not just the rich. Even the middle class can afford to keep a driver part-time, right?
Because
maybe the
of
driver...
oil?
Yeah, man, they have so much money in that country, I mean...
But even though I think that's a kind of sexist concept.
It is. I don't agree with
women
it.
cannot choose what they want.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100% I agree. And there is no other country, Muslim, non-Muslim, Islamic, traditional, that has this rule. Saudi Arabia is the last country. There are maybe 50 countries in the world that are majority Muslim people. Every single one allows people to drive. Even Iran allows women to drive.
Really? So this is the only country?
Yeah, exactly. Saudi Arabia is the only country, right? So it's very interesting, right? And my problem is, so I mean, I'm Muslim, right? So I can, if I'm having an argument with a Muslim, I can argue effectively, right? So if somebody tells me, if a Muslim tells me, like if a Saudi person who's very traditional tells me, listen, you should not be talking like this or whatever, it's good that they don't drive, right? I would tell them, okay, if you have this law, and let's say that there is nobody in the house, right? There are no male relatives, and the woman has a male driver driving her, okay? Let's say that there's a driver at the house, and the driver can drive the woman wherever she wants to go. That is against their principle, right? Because the rule is it has to be a male relative. So is it better to have the woman drive alone, or is it better to sometimes force the woman to be with a non-relative male? Right? What is better? Is it better for the woman to be alone in the car, or the woman to always be in the car with the male, regardless of whether or not the male is a relative or a non-relative? Right? It's not logical. I mean, the Saudi rule honestly is not logical, and I don't understand how a country with 50 million people or 30 million people still they can't think of this one thing. This one example, right? You are forcing women to always be in the company of a male.
It's not logic, yes.
Whether relative or non-relative, right? If there's no relatives around, it has to be a non-relative. Think about a taxi, right? A woman goes to shop, takes a taxi from her house to the mall, takes a taxi from the mall back to the house. That taxi driver is going to be a non-relative male, right? So, God bless America. God bless freedom.
But let me ask you something.
Go ahead, Leon. Absolutely.
I know that they have their a special kind of dress to wear, but for example, when they live in other countries, for example, in Western countries, they want to wear any kind of dress. Because when I was in Europe, I always see that they continue wearing the same dresses that they were in their countries. They don't
in Saudi Arabia, yeah.
They don't allow to wear other kind of dress like pants, for example, if they live in other countries, in other non-Muslim countries.
In non-Muslim countries, they can wear whatever they want, right? So the rule actually doesn't apply outside of Saudi Arabia. So, there's a joke that when Saudi women are on flights outside, when they're leaving Saudi Arabia, they start taking everything off.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing from Iranian women do the same thing in airplane from Uyghurian women.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's 100% true. My girlfriend is actually Iranian, so she tells me all the time. Like, I mean, she wears the scarf when she's in Iran, but we were in Turkey, we were in many other countries, and she was normal. I mean, but the thing is, in Iran, you can wear whatever you want as long as you're covered, right? In Iran, you can wear jeans, just you have to have your hair covered, right?
Why is everything that they have to cover their hair?
In Iran, you mean?
In most of the Muslim countries.
What is the reason? What is the reason for covering the hair?
A religious reason, I think.
Yeah, a religious reason. It's a hair. If a girl has beautiful long hair, then men will look at her more. Honestly, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Juan.
They are provoking to sin.
Yeah, they are provoking men to look at them, right? Maybe the men will say, "Oh my God, look at that hottie," look at that girl, so hot, right? And they don't want that in their society. So whatever, that's their society. They can do whatever they want, right? But Iran actually does allow women to wear pants. They can drive. They can do whatever. They just have to have their hair covered, right? And Iranian women are actually very interesting. They only cover their hair up to here, so you can still see the front of their hair, right? So they're very creative. They wear very colorful hair dresses, so it's a part of their fashion almost, right? It's fashionable for them. They try to bend the rule. They don't want to break the rule, but they bend the rule. So sometimes they have just a cover up to here. You can see all their hair up here, right? But Saudi Arabia, never. Everything has to be covered. Like your hair has to be covered fully. Yeah.
And in India, they use a headscarf too.
Some people do. But no, it's not a rule. It's not a rule.
If foreign
It's not a rule, no.
women travel to Saudi Arabia, they have
Uh-huh.
to wear same.
Yes.
It's maybe it's hard actually.
Then don't go. Honestly, that's the response, right? I was talking to Saudis about this, and Saudis told me, when you're in our country, you respect our
You know,
rules.
just wear the scarf. Maybe it's it's not so difficult, but completely cover the whole body. So people who are not familiar with it's kind of
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
hard. Actually.
100% agree.
If I go to Saudi Arabia, I have to use a headscarf. And,
Absolutely.
If I won't do it, what happens? They don't allow me.
They won't let you in. Yeah, they won't let you in.
Really?
Or maybe if you do it, the female police will hassle you, right? Somebody will be yelling at you. You have to do this.
Wow.
It's their rule. It's the rule. It's a law in their country, right? When I was in Iran, they in the airport, as the people are landing, they have scarves that they just hand out to women. But just a small one that covers the hair, not the full body stuff.
Only the head.
Just the hair is what and the hair and maybe the neck area, so maybe like up to your shoulders. That's it. That's it. It's a basic. It's more a relaxed rule in Iran, but in Saudi Arabia, yeah, it's a full body. I mean, they call it in Arabic they call it the abaya. The abaya covers the entire body. My mother, when she lived there, right? I mean, she was a foreigner, but she had to wear the full abaya, or they call it the burqa. Burqa is another word that you hear. Yeah, the abaya or the burqa is required for all women in that country.
But I heard that in France they say that the women don't have to use this kind of dress.
Yeah.
So, I think there is a polemic there about the way that they dress in Western countries.
Yes, absolutely. Belgium and France have had this debate also. They are thinking, they see it as a security issue, right? Because a guy can dress up in a burqa and he could be a terrorist, right? You would never know what they're hiding on all the clothes, right? But the women, the Muslim women, the very traditional Muslim women who live in France and Belgium, they are arguing that banning the burqa or making the burqa illegal is actually an attack on their religious freedom, right? So this is the debate in these European countries, right? And there are some women, and honest to God, like I said to you guys, I'm Muslim. These are just my opinions, right? But if you are wearing a burqa and you refuse to remove the burqa to show your face for your passport photo or your driver license photo, then how do we know who you are? I mean, if you're wearing a burqa, it could be Liliana could be wearing it, Ken could be wearing it.
Yes.
I mean, how do we know who's who, right?
Hide your face.
It's identification document. Like, I mean, we need your photo. Like, honestly, like, does that not make sense to people?
Actually, when the kids arrived to the Japanese airport, they fully make up for the media and the fans. So they couldn't identify themselves, so they have to erase the makeup and show the identity and make up again and in front of the media and fans.
Yeah.
It's kind of tiresome.
It's crazy, honestly, it's crazy. I mean, I am a fan of moderation, This is what comes up in India. So, like, my family is from, a small country called Bangladesh. 85% of the people are Muslim in Bangladesh, right? But just like India and just like Bangladesh, there are no rules of, like, you just wear, as long as you're not naked, we're okay. I mean, don't walk in the street naked. Don't walk with the intent to cause attention, right? If a girl is walking down the street wearing a bikini, okay, yes, men will look at her, right? Obviously, but as long as it's modest clothing, right? Keep things in moderation, right? Same thing.
Dress, a classic dress.
Classic dress, yeah. Just be classy,
But I think anyway, they are a male society, in these countries.
Yeah, very patriarchal society, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of prohibitions.
Prohibitions, huh?
Prohibition.
Prohibitions, yeah.
Uh,
Prohibitions, lots of prohibitions. But you know, the women there, the women in Saudi Arabia especially, they're making a lot of gains, right? I do have hope for their people. Saudi Arabia, I think, their king said that they will review the driving ban in 2015, right? So 2 more years maybe, and they might become the last country in the world to finally accept women driving, right? But it's, you know, the thing is, it's very interesting. When they come here, they drive, right? Saudi women in the U.S. they drive.
As one said, it's a contradiction.
Yeah. In Europe, they're buying Chanel and you know, driving everywhere and no scarf whatsoever. Everything is off, right?
Oh my God.
So they feel themselves free, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
to wear what they want.
Not all women maybe, but definitely some women who think of themselves as being more free in the West. Yeah, they do that, you know. And what's even more interesting is in Saudi Arabia, right? So there was an interesting article in the BBC, I think, a few years ago. Stores for women, like stores for women's clothes and things like that, they are extremely popular with women, right? So they buy the Victoria's Secret lingerie. They buy all of the latest designed clothes, right? So the question was, where do they wear this stuff, right? They wear
burqa.
If they're covered in burqa, so they don't. They wear them inside the home, right? And they wear them at all female parties.
Yes.
So
female parties.
all female parties, yeah. So for example, in a public setting, right? Every restaurant in Saudi Arabia has a male section.
Really?
and a family section, right?
No.
So if I go to Saudi Arabia, I have to sit in the male section because I am unmarried, right? I have my male section. All my buddies and me who are unmarried, these young guys, we all sit in the male section. If you're a girl, or if you have a family, actually they have 3 sections. So girls only, guys only, and family, right? So if you're an unmarried girl, then you go to and you have maybe you're with your girlfriends or something, then you go to the girls section, right? If you're with your mother or your father, then you can go to the family section. If you're a young guy with a family, maybe like you, your wife, and a child, then you go to the family section. The problem is, the reason for this rule is they don't want the young guys like me who are not married to distract the other people or to look at the girls and to cause problems.
I know.
Right? So the young guys are always separated. We are enemy number 1. Okay? Yeah.
Oh
that's,
my God.
In shopping malls, my friend and I were in Bahrain, okay? Bahrain is another country close to Saudi Arabia, but they have days. Saturday is family-only day, okay? So if you want to enter the mall on a Saturday, and if you are not married, if you're like me and a couple other guys, just 5 young guys, they will not let you in the mall on Saturday.
No.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Juan.
How they know that you are married or not?
You have to be with your wife.
Okay.
And if you are with your girlfriend or
and I heard talking
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Kent, and then I'll go to Liliana. Yeah, go ahead, Kent.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I heard talking to the married woman is prohibited or dangerous in such country. Is it?
It's definitely dangerous. It's definitely dangerous. I mean, if you are not related to her, why are you talking to her? She's my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, man, get out of the way, Ken. She's my wife. You know.
How they know that? For example, if you go with your fiancé or your girlfriend, how do they know that you are not married?
So honestly, Liliana, there's no such thing as girlfriend in Islamic societies.
No.
You know, you're either married or you're not married.
No, there's no girlfriend, fiancé.
It's fiancé works. Fiancé definitely works, but that's the gray area, right? So if I was with my fiancé or something at this mall and the police stops me, actually, honestly, they wouldn't care if they see a girl with you who looks like your wife. I don't think they would care. If they stop you and ask, "Are you married?" then you have to give some kind of proof. So sometimes people do carry like a marriage certificate with them. so that they are not hassled, right? Because let's say like even in Dubai, right, which is like modern, oh my God, Dubai, right? If you cannot do public acts of affection. So one, you can't just kiss your wife randomly on the street in Dubai. I mean, if it's very quick and if it's like away from children, away from families, yes. But you can't do something like serious, like
Fiance means arranged marriage, or they choose...
No. Fiance just means that you haven't married the girl yet, but you're engaged. You're going to marry her. Yeah. Like you're in that middle zone of so you had the engagement.
They need to get a permission from their parents.
It would not hurt. It would be a good idea. Yeah.
So the maybe most marriage there is arranged marriage, or
yeah, a lot of them are. Yeah, a lot of them are very traditional. The family chooses the girl for the guy, or the family chooses the son for the girl. Right.
Because I'm watching an Indian series, and it's the same that you are telling.
Yeah.
For example, they can't show any kind of affection on the streets.
You know,
if they are married, even if they are married, so I think why is their wife or it's her? Her wife.
It's so different, Liliana. Like I have never seen my dad hold my mom's hand.
No.
Never. In my entire life, not at home, not outside, never. Right? The older Indian generation, like my parents' generation, they are very like serious people when it comes to relationships. Like they don't show any affection. Sure, they're nice to each other, but they don't kiss, they don't hold hands, nothing. Nothing, right? So it's very weird. The younger generation is much more different. If you go to the younger generation in India now, if they're not in the traditional setting, if they are, if they live in the city, they have boyfriend, girlfriend everywhere. I mean, it's so common, right? Holding hands, whatever. But if you kiss in India, depends on the location, right? If it's a modern area, maybe a shopping mall, maybe just a quick kiss on the cheek, perfectly fine. If you start giving French kisses, watch out. Right? It's not proper. It's not proper. It's too much in the public space. They don't like that in the public space.
And what happens if you choose, if you refuse the woman that your parents
choose for you?
Choose for you, and you, for example, want to be married with a foreign woman.
With a foreign woman, it's changing. Things are changing. So the tradition is definitely changing now. If arranged marriages are still common, they happen in the rural society, they happen in the traditional society, but the girl and the guy, they have options, right? So if the girl refuses the boy that her parents choose for her, she can tell them, I don't like this guy. Find me somebody else, right? And it works that way because parents are ultimately not looking to destroy their kids' lives, right? But they don't want the kids to go and get into romantic relationships themselves. They feel that there's a danger in that, so they do the investigation. The family talks to other families. They try to find a good son, a good daughter, right? If you say no, then they will find somebody else, right? But in some situations, it is very sad that there are forced arranged marriages all the time, right? So maybe the girl refuses. The father says, "I don't care. You have to marry this man. He is very rich. His family is very close to our family. We can't say no." And these things also happen, and it's very sad because many women get into these relationships and they cannot leave, and they are forced into this marriage of into this arranged setting that is it's very hard for them, very, very hard for them. Yeah. But generally things are good. Things are improving. India and like Bangladesh, these countries, we don't have any rules for what women can wear outside, and we have, even before the Islamic religion came to that part of the world, they were more traditional. Like, older Indian women always cover their hair, right? Like my mom also, I don't know how old she is, but she's getting to that level of being the older woman. She also is now a little bit more traditional, sometimes covers her hair, but not outside. Inside the home she does, So random things like that. You know, it's a little bit different. There are a lot of cultural issues in that part of the world. Yeah, go ahead, Juan. Yeah.
I have another question because
yeah.
I am curious about the red dot that they got in the front.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is actually something cultural, Juan. So India has two main religions, right? India has Hindus, and they have Muslims also, right? So that red dot is a symbol of, I think, normally just beauty, okay? It's just something they put on their forehead. In Hindi, in the Indian language, we call it tikka. Like, actually, hold on. I think I made a mistake. It's not tikka. Tikka means something else, guys. It's called a bindi. Bindi is that red dot that they wear, right? So tikka is something else, guys. I'm sorry. Bindi is that red dot, and they put it right here on the forehead, right? And it's really a sign of beauty more than anything, right? So if a girl is dressing up,
like Marilyn Monroe put a kind of small dot, you know. I think I heard it's not real, kind of.
Yeah, you know, they can. I think they do have those examples, right? So, for example, let me show you guys an example of what I'm talking about. So, like these girls, what I was talking about before with tikka means like a piece of something, right? So a small piece. So sometimes what girls do is they wear jewelry that comes down to their forehead. Right, and that they call a tikka, or because it's a small piece of gold, right? This right here, it's a small piece of gold. But the bindi is the red thing that they put right here, right? So that's a bindi, and it's really just a sign of beauty. Like if a girl is going to a wedding, if a girl is going to a very fancy party, or even if a girl is just wearing traditional clothes and going outside, they wear the bindi, right? The bindi they place right here, and honestly, it comes from the Hindu tradition, right? So it's something that has always been a part of Indian culture that has continued on beyond the Islamic, the arrival of Muslims. So now women, even Muslim women, wear the bindi, right? It doesn't matter. It's something that we carried from our ancient pre-Islamic culture. Hindus still wear it because they didn't become Muslim or whatever. Muslims wear it because it's something that we have kept from their culture, from our old culture, right? So bindis, that's what we wear. But you know, Juan, great question, because you will see, if you watch Indian movies, you will see that girls wear their hair parts, like you know how when you comb your hair has a part, right? In that part, you'll see a red powder or a red line going up that part, right? Let me see if I can find a picture of that, right? So let me see if I can find a picture of that. One second.
Women and men use, because I heard something about castes.
Castes. Yeah, caste system. Yeah. So those ones we have. For example, that is used if you see the red powder or the red line going into the hair of a woman, or just a woman. That means the woman is married. That means the woman is married. So if it's a red, like, I don't even know what to call that in Indian or in Hindi. Red line.
But women, men use this red line. Or red. It's not a red line. It's like a triangle, something red between their eyebrows.
They don't. Well, oh, the red thing. So the bindi in their eyebrows.
Yes.
And the men, when they wear the bindi, also the same situation. They do it just because it's a decoration. It's a nice thing to wear, right? It's something that they wear if they are going on a formal thing. But it's more rare for men. It's more rare for men. Some men do it, especially with the caste system, right? Some of the very religious Hindu people, if they're going to the temple for to give prayers, then they wear that bindi right here.
And,
right?
And I heard that women don't allowed to get into the temple.
Women can go into the temples. I think they can't go into some areas. Like for example, if they are if somebody has died, then they can't go very close to the body. because the body, but the woman is considered, in Hindu religion, I believe, the woman is considered the bearer of life, right? The woman gives birth, so they should not be close to death. So they should be far away from death, right? So the second picture, guys, what I sent shows that really dark red line going down the middle, right? And that red powder is what shows that this girl is married, right? And the bindi is just, that red dot is just something that you have for decoration, really, right?
I thought that red dot symbolizes the third eye.
You know, it could be, Ken, you know, the third eye. So for example,
people do that in a kind of fashionable way, or fashionable reason, or ceremonial reason.
Yes, absolutely. Like if my sister is going to a party with friends and it's an Indian party, then she will wear that red dot.
Okay.
She'll also wear all this jewelry. Indian women, they spend so much money.
Jewelry,
they spend so much money. Crazy. Like, you know, and in South India, in South India, so we have different parts of India, north versus south. I'm from North India, but in South India, women wear flowers in their hair. Very common. They wear these white flowers in their hair, and they usually wear a lot more gold. Even South Indian men wear a lot of gold.
And rings, a lot of rings.
Yeah, they have at least one ring, at least one bracelet. Right? They wear a lot of that stuff. So Juan, you asked about los turbantes, right? Or in English we say turban, right? Turban. Turban. So men wear turbans for special occasions. So there's actually, this is where India gets more complicated. Okay.
Weddings?
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Liliana.
Men use turban in weddings?
Yes. Weddings is a big time when men wear turbans. So even people who don't, like I don't normally wear a turban. I've actually never worn a turban, I think. Some men, when they get married, they wear a very fashionable turban, and in Hindi we call it a pagri. A pagri is a turban, right? So if you go on Google or something and you search pagri, you'll probably find pictures of turbans. And men wear that pagri when they are getting married, but there is a third religion in India that is very big religion. Not big in terms of numbers, but big in terms of culture. They have a very, very strong culture. So there are two main religions in India. You have the Hindus and you have the Sikh, or Hindus and the Muslims, right? So the Hindus were from a long time ago. The Muslims are more recent, right? And the third religion in India are the Sikhs. Okay, the Sikh religion. In English we write them as S-I-K-H. S-I-K-H. The Sikh religion, the men always wear turbans. Right? The men always wear turbans. So this picture right here that I'm sending you guys is different types of pagris, different types of turbans. And these are wedding turbans. Right? So some guys have the big ones, some guys have the small ones, some guys have with the sash in the back, right? So these are all different types of turbans. But the Sikh people, it's actually their religion. It's part of their religion to wear a turban, right? So, and the Sikh turban looks a lot different. The Sikh turban has a special style. So this guy actually, I don't know who this is, but I found his picture on Google. He has a very classic Sikh turban. This next picture that I'm showing you guys, this is a Sikh turban, very classic Sikh turban, and it's a part of their religion to wear this. So in the United States, we have a lot of Sikhs. Okay, we have a lot of Sikhs in the United States. Canada has many Sikhs, thousands, maybe even 2 million Sikhs, right? And this is really a part of what they wear, right? So other religions, Muslims and Hindus, we wear turbans for special occasions, for fashion, which is that first picture. Sikh men always wear turbans. Yeah. So that's where it gets a little confusing. India, a lot of religions, a lot of languages, a lot of cultures. So we have a lot going on.
So in that region, kind of from India to Middle East, the covers hairs culture. They have a hair covering culture even before the Muslim? Or
Yes.
oh, I see.
That's a good thing to know, right? So even before the Muslims came to India in 600 AD, 700 AD, the women in India covered their hair. You know, they did. They didn't, not like the full Saudi style, but they covered their hair to a certain extent, right?
Yes, because
modesty,
that Uyghurian woman said to me, covered hair doesn't describe in Koran. The people decided that rule after that. So maybe that's connected to the kind of Islamic religion.
Yeah, you know, it's what you're asking, Ken, is a 355-hour lecture. Actually, no, I'm just joking. But no, it's a very big idea at the heart of the Muslim religion right now, right? Culture versus religion. It's the biggest fight we have within the Islamic religion right now. What is culture and what is religion? You know, because Islam has spread to so many parts of the world, right? From Africa to Asia to China to every corner of the world, right? There is a big question of what is culturally mandated and what is religiously mandated. So I have heard the exact same argument, right? So the Quran, from what I know, says that the specific instruction to cover your hair is something that is mentioned to only the family members of Muhammad. Only the Prophet's family members got that instruction. So it said, the actual phrase was, "Oh, you people of the Prophet's household, the women of the Prophet's household, cover your hair, cover all this," right? So for many years, even after in the early years of Islam, and for many years, the Arabs did not have their women cover their hair. They would just do whatever they did before, right? But as the religion spread to other parts of the world where hair cover was part of the culture already, that became instituted, or the two formed, they made a mix, and now everyone is saying, Muslims say cover your hair, right? Like before we were Muslim in India, like my ancestors 700 years ago, they were all Hindus or they were Buddhists. Right? They didn't care. They didn't have they didn't care about covering hair. The women probably covered their hair because it was just their culture, right? So you look at like Afghanistan, Pakistan, those countries in the northwest part of Pakistan where all the fighting is happening now, right? Those cultures were so male-dominated cultures for so many thousands of years that when Islam came, they maybe took the Islamic rule and said, okay, now Islam says that you have to do this, right? So they use the religion as the excuse, or they use the religion as their reason, even though the religion might not actually say those things, right? So it's a big problem. It's the biggest problem we have in Islam today, I think, besides all the other problems we have.
It's a rule that they imposed to all Muslims over the world. And the women have to use this hair scarf.
And you know, I mean, I've heard numerous debates. So some people say that line in the Quran that says the women, it's just talking to the women of the family of the Prophet, the family of Muhammad, that means it's talking to all the Muslim women. Some people interpret it that way. Some people say the Quran would not say something that was just specific. The meaning was for all women. Okay? Other people say no, the meaning was for just those women. Right? But really, the reality is that head cover was not a big deal in Arabia during that time. Right? It was something that developed over time, right? Even as late as 1800, 1850, right? If you went into the villages of Turkey, Arabia, Iran, kind of the Muslim heartland, right? When we say heartland, we're talking about like where something is established, right? So the Muslim heartland are countries like, you know, Arabia, Iran, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, right? These countries have historically been very Muslim. Even as late as the 1800s, if you went into a village in Iraq, the women were not covering their hair like head to toe, You know, they were just wearing normal clothing. If it was hot, then maybe they were wearing lighter clothing. If it was cold, then they would wear more clothing, or they would wear classical clothing. They would keep their hair covered, maybe, right? It was just a part of their culture. But then now we have, like, Saudi Arabia really is an established theocracy, right? I mean, they're a government with a lot of money, and their government is based on religion, right? 100% based on religion. And because of their money and their popularity, right, the Saudi government sends their scholars, their teachers, to every part of the Muslim world, right? So in every Muslim country, you have people from Saudi Arabia teaching this very traditional form of Islam. And this now is also diluting the culture, right? So you have the culture that was there. Like if you go to Indonesia, right? Like we read about this article, the females cannot drive motorcycles, right? In some parts of Indonesia, it is extremely traditional, and these areas of Indonesia are full of Saudi-sponsored schools, Saudi-sponsored universities, Saudi-sponsored, teachers. And they're going there and they're saying women must cover their hair, women should not ride motorcycles, women should not drive. I mean, whatever, right? So the Indonesian culture never had those things. But you have this foreign culture. The Saudi culture is now, they have a lot of money, unbelievable amount of money, and they're sending their schools, their teachers, their professors, their way of life they are sending to other parts of the world, right? And it's a challenge. I mean, I personally, as a Muslim, I get worried when I see that, right? Because, I mean, religion is one thing, but your culture and your heritage and your national pride or whatever, those are also very important, at the same time, right? But for a country like Saudi Arabia, religion is nationality, right? You cannot become a citizen of Saudi Arabia unless you are a Muslim. So religion is nationality. They don't have any other identity. Their identity is Islam, right? I mean, their flag says the main.
Your citizenship is Islam.
Yeah, your citizenship really is Islam.
More
right?
important that if you say that I'm from Saudi Arabia or from other Islam country, it's more important to say that you are Islam.
That you're Muslim. That you're Muslim. En español decimos musulmán, ¿no?
Yeah.
Musulman.
En inglés decimos Muslim.
Muslim.
Muslim. So it's really weird, when you look at if somebody is a Saudi citizen, he must be a Muslim. He or she must be Muslim. They don't allow anybody else to become. If you are a Christian, Catholic, Jew, whatever, Hindu, Buddhist, you cannot become a Saudi citizen, right? So it's a very interesting situation, I mean, and this is the heart of the problem, right? So when you look at like the different cultures, the different Muslim countries, like you have the more secular-minded, liberal countries like Bangladesh, right? We don't care. India, we don't care what you are. It doesn't matter. You can become a Bangladeshi or an Indian, or it doesn't matter. For us, we have our language, we have our culture, and we also have our religion. Saudi Arabia, they just have the religion. And they have the money. They have an enormous amount of money, and they have the power, yeah, they have the power. So when Islam is being represented on the world stage, Saudi Arabia is doing the talking. Right? We are the Pakistanis and the Bangladeshis and the Indonesians and the Africans. We are just kind of whatever. It's not that big a deal to us, right? It's confusing, guys.
I had another question.
Yeah, go on. Go ahead. Yeah.
Maybe it's not related what we are talking, but I am curious about. I know that there is a big immigration to certain river that is sacred, that everybody goes to bath or to shower in the river.
To bathe, to bathe in that river, So if you say, you can say somebody takes a bath in the river, takes a bath, or somebody bathes in the river, right? So
to clean your sins, something like
to clean your sins, exactly.
That's the mainly purpose.
This is something that is actually Hindu, right? So Juan, this is not Islamic at all. This is something from the Hindu religion. So the city in India that is very holy to Hindus is called Varanasi. Okay, it's also known as Benares or Varanasi. Both of these are names for the same city in North India, and it's next to the river Ganges, the Ganges River.
And
right?
they always say that we have to, if, for example, if you are sick, say, put on them the water of Ganges.
Ganges River, yeah, the water from the Ganges River, yeah. This is the holiest river in Hinduism. For Hindus, this is the holiest river. So, you know, Hindus, they don't bury their dead. They actually cremate their dead, right? So Muslims, Christians, Jews, we bury our dead, right? We have cemeteries, right? We put the dead people in the ground. Hindus, they burn their dead. They actually cremate their dead, right? So when you burn a dead body, in English we say that's cremated. You cremate the body. So very religious Hindus, they write in their will, spread my ashes in the Ganges River, right? Because they want the last thing that there was their body, you know, their ashes. They want their ashes to be set into the Ganges River, right? So it's a very, very ancient practice of bathing in the Ganges River, especially in the city of Varanasi. So if you Google like a picture of Varanasi, you will see just these big temples right next to the water, and all these people are going into the water to take a bath, right? Every single day people are taking a bath in that river, right? They believe that if you have a sickness, if you bathe in that water, then that it's holy water, that you will become cured, right? Or if you sin, if you are maybe a very bad person, right? If you bathe in that water, if you take a bath in that water, then you will be, your sins will be forgiven, or at least maybe God will have mercy on you, you know? So yeah, it's a very special Hindu religious tradition. Nothing to do with Muslims. This is simply a very traditional Hindu religious tenet, and they have lots of holy places, right? They have lots of holy rivers and things like that.
You said every day, but there is a special day. It's like a festival.
Take care, Liliana. Have a good one. They do have a special festival day as well, actually. I don't know what it's called, unfortunately. I think maybe once a year they have. So this is when Hindus have a big religious celebration or a religious festival. They call those puja. Puja means like a religious holiday, a religious celebration. I don't know the name of what kind of puja that is when they are going to the river, but I would imagine that it is some kind of a large, maybe yearly celebration, right? So let me see if I can find it. Varanasi pilgrimage maybe will be helping us out with this. Yeah, pilgrims. Yeah, when they have a pilgrimage and they have people go there to religious festivals. Let's take a look. So one of them is called there are lots of these festivals, honestly, Juan. I don't actually know if there is a specific one. There's one that's called one that I'm finding right now is called Maha Shivaratri. In Indian, that means the great day of Shiva. Shiva is one of the Hindu gods. So Hinduism has, like, I think a couple billion gods or hundreds of millions of gods, right? So this
kind of pantheism in English.
Polytheism, yeah.
Polytheism, yes.
Polytheism is a religion with more than one god, right? So this one right here, Juan, it's called Maha Shivaratri. Maha means big, and Shivaratri is like the celebration of Shiva, and Shiva is one of their gods. So Maha Shivaratri, this happens in February, and this is when a lot of people go into the water in the Ganges River. Yeah, and yeah, they do a lot of this stuff. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Sorry. How about the relationship between the different caste people? Because I've heard before they don't work together, they don't even talk together.
Yeah, you know, traditionally in Indian society that was the case, but in excuse me, in 1947 when India became an independent country, one of the first things they did was abolish the caste system. They made it illegal to discriminate based on caste, right? However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Traditional societies, rural societies, still it's a very, very important, caste is a very important thing for them, right? It's also extremely important for them when they are getting married. So if you're a Hindu and you're getting married to somebody, they look at your caste. If you're high caste, then you're supposed to marry someone from your caste. If you're a low caste, then you can only marry someone from your caste, right? They don't allow mixing of castes in marriage, or at least traditional Hinduism does not allow that, right? Because what will the children be?
Okay.
You know, caste comes from your father and your mother, right? More importantly, I think your father. So that's why it's an interesting situation. And yeah, Juan, you see how they have an elephant in the water also, right?
I am very curious about this picture. No, I just asking you can explain it. What's happening here?
So this is, I think what they're doing is the guy who's dressed up is dressed up as one of the gods. Maybe he's dressed up as Shiva, their god of destruction. Shiva is the god of destruction. And they are all just, I think they're praying or chanting or doing something. Honestly, I have no idea. He has a flute in his in his mouth, right? So actually, he might be this other god. There's another god called Krishna. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a picture of Krishna. Krishna is a blue god.
Maybe I've seen, yeah.
He has blue skin. He has blue skin, and he usually has a flute in his hand, right? So Krishna, maybe this guy is acting like Krishna, and Krishna is a very important god for them. I actually don't know what he is or what his powers are, but it's some kind of a celebration. Honestly, Juan, your guess is as good as mine. I'm not sure about this one, but they do. It's a very colorful religion, right? Very colorful religion with a lot of stories. When I think of Hinduism, I think of los Aztecas, Juan, I think of the Aztecs, I think of the Mayans, right? It's Christianity kind of destroyed all those religions, all those polytheistic religions the
culture, all the culture.
Yeah, but Hindu religion has Hinduism is the world's third largest religion.
Okay.
After Christianity and Muslims, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very astonished about your culture. And as well, I don't know, Ken is here. I as well astonished about Japanese culture. There had many celebration
yeah. So, but the modern Japanese, kind of changing a lot actually. Maybe in the past we have a kind of similar regulation in the society, but nowadays, it's more, in one sense, westernized. But kind of in terms of religion, kind of Buddhism or Shintoism influence is huge in Japanese society or mind. But religion is not some kind of main role in Japanese society nowadays. People believe in money or economy or science but still, kind of people, if the people face a serious situation, maybe they might pray for God or gods, or still on the New Year's Day, many people go to Shintoist shrine. So it's a kind of a bit unorthodox in the Christian or Muslim or kind of society, but Japanese in general have two different religious background: Buddhism and Japanese native religion called Shintoism. So these two religions concept or kind of rituals mixtured in Japanese society or ceremony or Japanese mind.
Yeah. And it's very fascinating because for a long time, the Japanese people also worship the emperor, right?
But actually, it is said it's artificially created in Japanese society. After the Meiji Restoration, Japanese militant person or samurai were terrified by the invaded from Western nations, because most of the Asia were colonized by Western nations. So in order to get strong military nation, they intentionally mimicked absolute monarch in Europe. So Tenno is the top center. He has a huge power. So now it is analyzed. It's not the original emperor kind of mimicked version of absolute monarch emperor.
Yeah, so, it's now the emperor's powers are mostly ceremonial, right? He
lost any political power. Yeah.
That's crazy. Especially thinking of just 100 years ago, the emperor was everything, right?
Kind of intentionally, in order to kind of fight against samurai power, which was very strong at that time. So oppose samurai power, support emperor a lot, and they create strong military nation after that. The excuse of that, to rescue other Asian countries.
Yeah.
But ironically, Japanese invaded such countries to, same thing Japan did to other Asian nations.
It was another form of colonialism. It was Japanese colonialism.
Right. So at that time, government said we need to liberate such country from Western nations. Kind of, that's a kind of.
It is ironic, right?
Yeah, ironic kind
and
of.
It was very bad for some of these countries.
Yeah, actually, most of the major national kind of war happened in such reason. They always try to justify the war or invasion. Yeah.
Absolutely, right. That's something that will always happen. I'm always the good guy. The other guy's the bad guy, right? So you should join my side because I will do this, I'll do that, right? Promises, everything justifying because of different reasons, right? So yeah, guys, Japan and India, and I'm sure China, all these other societies from the Eastern world, we have a lot of interesting culture, but when it comes to the weird laws for Muslims and for women, it's a very confusing situation, and the culture. The marriage of culture and religion and the balance of culture and religion is really where there are a lot of problems today, because to be Muslim is not to be. Many people think that if you're Muslim, that should be your way of life. That should be your identity, your full identity, nothing else. I'm not Mexican, I'm not American, I'm not Indian, I'm Muslim. Okay, but how do we, like my culture, I think we are Indians first, Muslims second, right? Because our language and everything is different. They're as important for us as our religion, right? So it's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal. This will not end anytime soon. This debate will happen for many more decades, I think.
Yeah, and it's supposed that we are in the 21st century, and these things still happen in the world. Oh my God.
Yeah. We have hope, I guess. Yeah, got it.
We are civilization. How do you say in English?
Celebration?
No. We are human.
Civilization.
Civilization, yeah.
Yeah. Civilización, right?
Yeah.
Civilization, right? Yeah. So we are. Yeah.
And still these things happen, so you wonder how civilization we are.
Honestly, I don't know, right? I think we were better in the olden days when we didn't have some of these problems, right?
I'm really worried about future people criticize modern people, kind of 21st century people, to destroy the nature or environment.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, right? We are destroying the environment for our future generations. What will happen? Maybe it won't matter in 2050 when water becomes more expensive than oil.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Yeah, like countries will start fighting for water.
Yeah. No more for gold, no more for oil, no more for silver, just for water. Oh my God.
For water. Yeah. It's crazy, right? Natural resources are going down, and one of my teachers made a joke once that we will start fighting for for printer ink. Because you know how if you buy ink for your printer, it's the most expensive stuff. Like it's like $60 for a little bit of ink. So she said maybe in 50 years we'll start fighting over printer ink and water. You know, I mean, crazy. It's crazy. Gold and silver and that stuff doesn't matter as much, maybe, but.
You know, maybe you have to wear a ring made of ink or water.
Yeah, right. I feel sorry for Bolivia.
Yeah.
Bolivia doesn't have water. Well, they don't have that water access, right?
Yeah.
They have that. They lost it in some war a long time ago, but yeah.
But unfortunately, I believe, or I am convinced that something have to be done in order that you can potabilize all the water in the sea.
We have to maybe desalination, right? Maybe if we desalinate the water.
Yeah, because there are a lot of water. The main problem is to potabilize.
Yeah, the potability of the water, right? Yeah. To make the water potable, or to make the water drinkable, right? Drinkable water. Yeah, and you know, a lot of countries are already starting the process of desalination, right? It's extremely expensive. That's the problem. So desalination is when you make the salt water fresh water, right?
But you think, for example, the computers at the beginning they appeared, they were very expensive. Nowadays, everyone can afford one. So maybe, I think in the fortunately for the new generation, the desalination could be more or less almost cheaper.
Yeah, I like that idea, right? Because maybe we can carry little desalination kits with us, right? Like you need water, you can go anywhere and you can filter the water, drink the water, right? I mean, they're already starting to do this in some countries, but it's scary, you know. I mean, I don't know. Like Albert Einstein said, I don't know which weapons we will fight World War III with, but World War IV we will fight with sticks and stones.
Wow.
It's a very powerful statement. Yeah. I don't know what weapons we will use in World War III, but World War IV we will use sticks and stones, because there will be nothing left on Earth if we have a World War III.
Okay.
Right? It's very scary. This is Albert Einstein, right? Yeah. I mean,
in matter of fact, there is a film, the Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, yeah.
Right.
Very futuristic.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of Hollywood, though, isn't it? It's a little too Hollywood.
But if you thinking about it, it's not crazy.
Yeah. We have to wait and see, guys. I wish the best for the people of the world, and hopefully we can live in peace. But there are so many issues going on right now that I honestly don't know if it's possible to have peace in the world. You know.
Okay, guys. It was a very, very nice talk with you, but unfortunately I gotta go.
No worries, Juan. Thank you guys both for joining, and I'm glad you guys stayed this out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good talking. So.
Yep. Have a great rest of the day and night, guys. Take care. See you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
See you around.
Bye.
Resolved.
Fantastic. And Juan, you want to speak about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hello, I am Juan from Mexico too, and I am 42 years old, and I work as a carpenter.
Fantastic, guys. Thanks for the introductions. Do you guys mind if I just jump in? It's gonna be a longer class, so let's jump in, okay? Today we are going to be talking, guys, about all the different types of words that we see that are maybe spelled differently but sound the same, or have different meanings but are spelled the same. It's a complicated set of vocabulary, really. It's not really a grammar lesson. It's more of a vocabulary lesson, right? We are talking about the different classifications of words in English, right? So the first classification that we're going to look at is when we see the word homonym. If something is a homonym, it's a word that are two words that are homonyms to each other, are pronounced the same way, but they have different meanings. They can either be spelled the same or they may not be spelled the same, right? but the pronunciation is the same, and they have different meanings, right? So that's, I'm going to write this down. First thing, homonym are spelled the same. I'm sorry, spelled differently. Oh wait, hold on one second. I'm already confused. They are pronounced the same way but have different meanings, right? Pronounced identically but have different meanings, right? So they give you some example. They give you some examples in the lesson as well. So one that I like to think of is, for example, we have the word for, like, I don't know, meet is a good one. I think it's already given in the example, but when we have meet, right, we have the verb to meet somebody, and we also have the thing that you eat, right, meat. So they're pronounced exactly the same way, but they have different meanings, right? Another one would be, for example, if we are talking about, let's see, another example of a homonym that uses, I'm trying to think of one that has different meaning. Whenever I think of these situations, it makes it difficult to think of one right off the bat, right? Right off of immediately thinking about it. We can think about it, maybe they're the example of
bear and beer? No.
Same pronunciation, right? Different meaning, different spelling, same pronunciation. Okay, Juan, we'll see in a little bit. So what? Okay, so now let's look at this. I need to categorize this, right? Wow. Okay, so we have homophones that are homonyms that are spelled differently. Okay, so what is the homonym that is spelled the same? That's the second type of example, right? Homonym is the group at the top. Homonyms are the biggest thing, right? Same pronunciation, different spelling, different meaning. If they are spelled the same, then it's a homophone, right? And if it's not spelled the same, then we just call it a homonym, I guess. We're not gonna split hairs on this one. It's gonna get much more confusing if we do that, right? So, any questions on this, guys?
No.
Right? So homophones are the biggest, or homonyms are the head category. Homonyms are any two words that are pronounced the same, different meanings, pronounced the same and have different meanings. That's it. That's what a homonym is. Pronounced the same but different meanings. Homophones are a category of homonyms that are also spelled the same.
But different meanings.
But different meanings, exactly. Because remember, all the homophones are homonyms also. And every homonym has a different meaning. Or homonyms have different meanings, right? So homophones are a category of homonyms. That's it. Homonym, homophone. Okay? Let's go with that. Now we're going to look at homographs. Okay? And these are words that are spelled the same and have different meanings. Spelled the same and have different meanings. Pronunciation doesn't matter. Okay? Pronunciation doesn't matter, but homographs are spelled the same, but have different meanings. Exactly, right? Fantastic. Juan read my mind, right? Spelled the same, but have different meanings. So what are some examples? This is a little bit easier. What are some examples of homographs that you guys can think of? For example, words that are like homographs, something that is spelled the same but has different meanings. Okay, so we have and then what was the second one?
Bear. I know bear. I always confuse these words.
Bear as in like el oso.
El oso, and the other is.
Y el pájaro, no?
Yes.
So yeah, bear and bird they actually look a little different.
Bear, no, the other is beer and.
Oh, like like la barba.
La cerveza, la barba.
Oh, la cerveza is beer. Beer. Yeah, beer.
I always confuse these words.
Yeah, so bear and beer a little bit different, right? but it's good. It's good though. They do sound similar. When people speak quickly, they sound similar. You know, give me that beer. Or look at that bear. Give me that beer. Right? They do have the possibility of sounding similar. Hey, Juan, how's it going?
Hello, hello. How are you?
Hi, Juan.
Hi, Diana. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
And hey, Irene, welcome back.
Thank you.
So, actually, guys, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to spend maybe another minute or 2 minutes just on introducing ourselves, and then I want to jump right into the lesson because it is kind of a complicated lesson. There are a lot of vocabulary words that we are learning for this example. It's actually my first time teaching this lesson also.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to be reviewing the information kind of as we're going along. And as always, feel free to ask questions and point out any mistakes that I make because it's very possible that I'll make a mistake. So
we are humans.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll learn together, vamos. Yeah. Hey, Murad, how's it going?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I am fine, thank you.
Nice. Doing good, thanks. So, Murad and Juan, we have a new student, Irene, in our class. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, and we can hear from her as well. Oh, Irene has a bad connection, but okay. Let's see if we can still hear each other.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So, can I introduce myself?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm Irene. I'm from Moscow, from Russia. It's too cold here, and I'm a student. What else? Maybe you have some questions.
Murad, do you want to go first?
Well, nice to meet you. My name is Murad. I'm from Mexico. I'm 26 years.
I don't really know if it's saying it's a type of homonym, but it's pronounced the same way, which we already have for regular homonyms. It's spelled differently. So, okay, it's a specific type of homonym, right? There are some homonyms that can be spelled the same way. Those are not homophones. Homophones are homonyms that are spelled differently. Okay? So, in terms of really thinking about what the difference is, I don't know if I can think of... all these examples that you guys gave us are also homophones, right? Homophone is simply a homonym that is homonyms that are spelled differently, right? So all these other ones that you gave us are spelled differently. Homonyms that are spelled differently. So we have, for example, every homophone is a homonym, right? But not every homonym is a homophone.
Oh.
Have I confused you guys enough? So every homophone is a homonym, right? But not every homonym is a homophone because a homonym, some homonyms are spelled the same. If they are spelled the same, then they can't be a homophone because homophones are spelled differently. But I'm trying to think, what is a homophone, or what is a homonym that is not a homophone? I mean, what are two words? Let me speak normal English. What are two words that have the same pronunciation, different meanings, but are spelled the same?
Can and can.
Can and can. Wow. Murad, you're a genius, man. Can and can. What's the first one? Or I guess what are the differences between the two?
It's modal.
Yeah, one's a modal, right? A modal verb. And what's the second one?
The second one is a type of container.
Fantastic, right? A Pepsi can versus I can go to school. Right?
And it's also a Canadian slang which means toilet.
Really? A Canadian say
Yeah.
toilet? Oh, wow. That is so weird. Okay, I did not know that. That's awesome. So, okay, let's backtrack, guys. Every homophone is a homonym. Homophones are different spelling, same meaning, a different spelling, different meaning. So yeah, they have to sound pretty similar though, right? Actually, let's think about it I have another one, right? Said and sad, okay, read versus read, or red versus red. That's a good one, Murad, right? So if we have I read something versus the color red, perfect, right? Pronounced identically have different meanings. Said and then sad. Said and sad. That one is a little bit different, right? Juan, or I'm sorry, Irene. Said and sad. There is a little bit of a difference, right? What about this? Aisle versus aisle. What's the first one? If we say aisle versus aisle.
Is a hole? Like a hole?
An aisle is, for example, what we see on if we are going down the aisle, like on a plane, that aisle in the middle, right? So it's like that hallway. And then the aisle, the second one, is another way of saying island. Right? So they are different right there, right? And Juan, you're saying air and right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is pretty good. So the air that we breathe versus like when we say like we know like we made a mistake, right? Murad, bin versus bin. Yeah. And I like how you wrote bin and then American in the parentheses, right? What was the reason for that?
I think because in British it doesn't seem the same. It doesn't sound the same.
Yeah,
Bin.
I think you're right. In American English we say been. I was there.
Yeah.
I've been there, right? So allowed and allowed. Yeah. Wow, Juan, you're on a roll, man. You got all these going. Allowed versus allowed, right? Great. So the music was, please, they were speaking. No, actually, wow, allowed. Like, for example, parking is not allowed here versus they were speaking aloud, right? They were speaking out loud. They were not speaking softly, right? So those are some examples of homonyms, right? Homonyms are those types of examples. Now, when we look at a specific type of homonyms, right? So remember how we had homonyms are any words that are pronounced the same but have different meanings. A homophone is they are homonyms that are spelled differently. Okay, so some of these homonyms, like for example, we have an example in which we are saying